So, this week's been quite eventful for Bungie, it seems, because there's been a lot of different things happening on the Destiny 2 server, and it has pretty much brought the game to its knees. So, I think I'm going to be one of the people who just say, we need a season to fix everything, because it just seems like the game's falling apart at the seams. Whether you've seen, like, the Kepri's Horn exploit that was going around, where if you put the Strand barricade on and you actually use Kepri's Horn, the projectile will turn to solar and stop animations of stuff, so that was fun to be a game-breaking glitch. Not to mention the Iron Banner export that came along with it as well, which was ridiculous to watch. On top of that, the Twitch Prime emblems were busted. They couldn't be claimed after people had spent money in order to get them from streamers, so there's another thing. Fourth Horseman still remains to be an issue because Bungie dialed back the 2-second cooldown to 1 second, and apparently it needs just slightly longer than a second in order to activate, so yeah, that's a really good fix. I just turned it back to 1.5 seconds, it's fine. Or better yet, just fix the gun itself and make it not do that stupid amounts of damage. A lot easier said than done, I know, but I'm pretty sure you can work it out. But going back to what I said a while back in one of my videos, Bungie needs to set aside a season where they just literally fix everything. Whether this is Season 22 when the in-game LFG comes out, because we all know that's going to be broken as hell within the first few days, or whether they extend Season 22 to just become a 6-month season like Season of the Lost. I know it's not a popular opinion because when we did Season of the Lost, it dragged on literally forever and it did feel like a lot of players dropped off. But I would argue that the benefits outweigh the costs in this situation because when you are leading up to the final shape, basically the grandiose DLC that we're all waiting for, we don't really want the game to be riddled with bugs, which will end up disconnecting loads of players on launch, not to mention the server queues are going to be chaotic, so that is probably going to be a surefire way to make sure your DLC doesn't launch correctly. So literally, I don't care if the story is rubbish in Season 22 or 23, provided they're still doing the 2 seasons, which they're probably going to. They just need to set one season aside where the story isn't going to be that good, or they're not going to do that much in that season, so they just focus on fixing the game. The really bad news about this is it started a year ago, because that's around about the time when they started reducing the size of the tower, where it went down from the limit of 20 people to something like 60 and then I think 12 after a while. And this was all to do with server-side issues, and Bungie never really fixed the problem as far as I saw. They might have, and I've just not seen it. But considering that was a big problem for a while, I am a bit worried when it comes to the rest of this stuff. But the reality of it is, even with certain items breaking the game and doing some really crazy stuff, that's not the big problem. The big problem is literally how it's all affecting server side. So if you go onto Destiny 2 and you go into the Eververse store, you'll notice there's a little bit of a lag when it starts up. And that's probably due to the fact of they are adding way too much into a simple system. Because if you can recall, last season it worked perfectly fine. This season they included a few things, like I think it was like the recommended stuff. So that's going to cause a bit of strain. Not to mention people get various amounts of error code here and there. Some of them aren't always server side. But it's alarming how many do appear, especially recently, because the servers haven't been doing so well. So the thing I propose is literally what I said last week. We should have a test server of some kind for when you're testing new releases. But I would take this a step further now and say Bungie would probably need to do a World of Warcraft and actually make a vanilla server of Destiny 2. So they're basically copying all the system that they have right now, but taking out all the DLCs and then they having that their own private side. This isn't going to be something we're going to play, but if they have this vanilla coding, then they'll kind of see where the issues are. Or at least I hope that's how that works, because in reality, putting patches on it just over and over again doesn't really fix the problem. Like, if you have a tear in your shirt and you put a patch on it, it's not actually fixed, it's just covered. And despite the fact that fixes are technically called patches, I know, it's game dev terminology, but still, Bungie can't just keep applying patches onto the game and just disabling things here and there. They need to fix it on a root level and actually get the game working as intended. So here's hoping Bungie actually does something like this next season, where they just focus on fixing the game, but I don't know, I feel like I'm just holding my bated breath at this minute. What do you think about the current state of Destiny? Is it an absolute dumpster fire, or is it still okay and bearable to play? Let me know in the comments below. But as always, I shall see you all in the next video.